Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Beyond the Saga. This is where we dive into all of the stories and the publishing and the comics and the games beyond the Skywalker saga. I'm here with Hannah Burr. Welcome back, Hannah.
It's great to be here. How are you?
It's fantastic. I am fantastic. We are going to dive into the third book in a series that I feel like we've both really enjoyed. A book that just came out just recently, just about a month ago. That would be Queen's Hope, written by E.K. Johnston. This is the third book of the, I guess we can call it the Padmé series, right? The Padmé trilogy. Yeah. Queen's Shadow was first, then Queen's Peril, and now Queen's Hope. A little weird because Queen's Peril is actually a prequel. So if you're going to read it in order, it's Peril, then Shadow, and then Queen's Hope. But this was a novel that came out back early April and finished out this trilogy. And this follows Padmé shortly after, a little bit during, shortly after Attack of the Clones. So she is a senator, still, and we drop in early, right around the wedding time. So I don't know, it's a young adult novel, so it wasn't very long. I listened to it. I think, did you read it?
I listened to it, actually.
Oh, you listened to it. Oh, great. So narrated by the great Catherine Tabor, Padmé herself. So it's always good to hear her voice, doing a Padmé book. Fantastic. Okay. So thoughts overall of this third book in this series.
So, as you mentioned, it takes place like right as soon as Attack of the Clones ends. We see Padmé and Anakin get married, and it's Padmé trying to navigate her new life in the secret marriage while attempting to still maintain peace throughout the galaxy as best as she can. And we also follow Sabé, who is trying to find out who she is without Padmé, to be honest. But she still will come and help Padmé and step in her reoccurring role to pretend to be her. So that's essentially what the book is. There are sparks of hope throughout it. There's a lot of hope at the end, but unfortunately we can't get into that because, spoilers.
Right.
But I have to say, also, I want to say, listening to it, I found it absolutely hilarious. Catherine Tabor trying to do a Yoda voice and a Jar Jar Binks voice.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. It was great.
Yeah.
But I feel like after finishing the book, I think the plot A should have actually been from Sabé's point of view. And then plot B, be Padmé trying to figure out her new life in the secret marriage.
Yeah. There was a lot. There was a lot of Sabé in this. A lot of Sabé.
There is. And I feel like with Padmé's story, there's a part A and a part B, and the only connecting thing between the two of them is Sabé. That's at least my opinion about it. And because of that, I did not enjoy this book as much as the other two. But I think though it does kind of close the chapter on the relationship between Padmé and Sabé.
Yes.
That I will say.
Yes.
And leave it at that.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Yeah, I guess, like a lot of continuing sequels and stuff like that, I was very excited for this book because I did love Peril and Shadow. Shadow especially. I think Shadow was awesome. So I definitely was looking forward to this. It's funny because I'd read some early reviews that maybe this book wasn't as good as the other ones, like you said, and so I didn't go into this with too high expectations. I felt like I was going to enjoy it. I'm with you. I don't. It's not as good as the other two books. I feel like overall, I will say there's some scenes in this that are top of the line of all three books.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
That really drew you in. And those were the ones I was interested more. So I found myself being more drawn into the scenes that really had nothing to do with the main plot of the book. You know what I mean? Like the main storylines that Padmé was experiencing and Sabé, you know, there was, it was basically a couple of the just plot points that stood out. And I'll just mention like, you know, I think the time we spent with them preparing for the wedding, I think was really cool because we didn't see that in Attack of the Clones. It just went right to the ceremony. There was to me, it's the how do you say it? The important introduction of Anakin and Sabé.
Yes.
Like Sabé and Anakin met once when he was 9 years old in episode 1, but he had not run into her again since. And that was an incredible scene.
Oh, yes.
Right. And then of course, like you said, the scene we get with Padmé and Sabé together towards the end was, I mean, I'm trying to think if I have ever got that emotional where I was getting a little teary-eyed listening to a book. I mean, I got a little teary-eyed during that scene. I thought that was because, you know, and again, it's not really a spoiler because we kind of know, we know what happens to Padmé during the Clone Wars and obviously episode 3. So, but now knowing, because this is the thing I wanted to talk about mainly was now that we have all these 3 books, what these books have given us is a full, in my opinion, a full understanding of what these handmaidens meant to Padmé. Because if you just watch the movies, there's no emotional connection that she ever has with these handmaidens. And to think that from even before episode 1, when she was queen, right? I mean, she was queen very shortly into episode 1, but you know, as we learned from Queen Shadow, there was a lot of stuff that happened before her election. Or was it Shadow or Peril? Actually, I think it was Peril.
I think it was Peril.
Yeah. Shadow was, during, right? After episode 1, I think it was, Anyway, learning about how they were recruited, how, you know, it wasn't like anybody can just become a handmaiden. I mean, they had to be trained. It was all, I mean, they had to get to know Padmé. They had to basically be her twin, right? And to know that relationship lasted all of that 10 years between episode 1, episode 2, even up through episode 3 with, you know, and they even mentioned in this, some of the ones that died, like Corday and I can't remember the other one they mentioned, but
Ursay?
Was it Ursay maybe that got killed? Yeah, so it's like,
Ursay.
Yeah, and then you've got ones that, you know, kind of retired in a sense and left her, and then she got replacements and Dorme but it's like, I mean, I mean, if I dare say it, it's a sisterhood, right? I mean, it's her family. It's not just handmaidens that stand in for her. It's family. And I think it's important to really understand that so that you can understand really how Padmé makes these decisions and how hard it is and how she struggles when she has somebody stand in for her because she understands that she's putting them in danger. Mm-hmm. I mean, things like that is just, it's really cool to learn that stuff. And I'm glad that these books were written because I have a whole different viewpoint of, I mean, I've always loved Padmé as a character, but I love her even more based on these books. So even though this book wasn't as good, I still felt and that connection that she has with them, and it plays out in a lot of these scenes that are in this book.
Oh, absolutely. Like these books totally do. I mean, just kind of parroting what you said, it makes you appreciate them more, and it makes you realize, because I feel like whenever watching the movies, I always thought Padmé was alone, and maybe that's why she kind of drifted towards Anakin because she seemed so isolated and alone, but she wasn't. She had a full support team of a bunch of women who were just incredibly powerful and incredibly knowledgeable in several different ways. And I just think that's so cool because you see how sharp and how smart and how strategic Padmé is in everything she does.
Right.
I just think that in the movies, she's not seen as powerful as she should be.
True. I mean, yes, I think she is shown to be strong, but not very powerful in a sense, like ultimate. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
So these books just help solidify that. So I agree with you 150%.
Yeah, you can just feel, you can just feel in that conversation that Padmé and Sabé have. I mean, you just feel the emotion. And now, I don't know if you get that feeling just reading it, but listening to that conversation and the music behind it, it's like, I can't stress enough how awesome Star Wars audiobooks are.
They are pretty great.
Getting into these stories, but like you just feel the emotion. I felt that entire lifetime since episode 1 that they had together in those words that they shared with each other.
I think you would still get the same emotion reading it.
Yeah,
I really do, because it's the artistic ways that the words flow together, and they conveyed the emotion and the subtext and everything in between. So I definitely believe that if you read it, you will totally get the same emotion.
Yeah. What else? Was there anything else that stood out?
I think for me, it also just showed how cunning Palpatine was and how he truly has his hands in everything and how he's constantly tracking. Like there's this one scene between him and Sabé in the garden when Sabé's pretending to be Padmé. And also just like at the end of the scene, she is physically ill because he used the Force on her to figure out because he sensed like, you're not Padmé.
Yes.
You're not Padmé. What's going on? And it was just this huge wave, and she felt so much anger and so much hate. And I think it just also shows more power of the dark side of the Force, where you don't necessarily need to have a reason to hate or a reason to have anger. If you just allow it, or even if you're just around someone who's like that, it'll feed into you.
Right.
So I almost wonder if that also is a reason why Anakin went to the dark side, because Palpatine was his mentor, was one of his friends, was there since he was separated from his mom. And he was a different perspective than the Jedi Council, which Anakin thought he needed. Yeah. So I wonder if that's just a glimpse into what Anakin feels when he's around Palpatine, and Palpatine just kind of lets the dark side flow through and encourage Anakin on. So to me, I think that scene stood out to me as one of the big scenes, not just necessarily for the story, but to show how tempting the dark side is, how potent it is, and how powerful Palpatine is. The fact that he can hide that much power from all these Jedi masters.
Right. Yeah. No, I thought those scenes with him were vital to this storyline, because I think, as this chapter, I guess, or this part of Padmé is coming to a close, I think it was good to see the, like you said, the maneuvers that Palpatine was doing, and the fact that it's so crazy to think that, because he is the Chancellor, of course, everybody's going to tell him everything they know. Like, he's going to find out, but no one knows they're actually telling the Dark Lord of the Sith, these things. Yeah. So it's amazing. That's a whole other discussion of truly Palpatine's plan and how crazy, I mean, unfortunately, how crazy good it was at accomplishing what he wanted to do, which was the demise of the Jedi and the Republic. But no, it was good.
I honestly believe, and I can't say which scene it is, but you'll know what scene I'm talking about. It's a spoiler. But if Palpatine wasn't in the room for that one scene towards the end,
yep,
I honestly believe he would not have been successful in his mission to take over as the Galactic Empire.
Yeah, interesting.
I honestly believe that's how close it came.
Wow. Yeah, that's true. That is true. No, I like that.
That's all we can say, folks.
That's all we could say. Yeah. But in the end, for me, in a way, this is a, if you were just going to read it on your own, probably not, but you got to read it with the other books and complete that storyline. And I think it's setting up nicely for what comes next.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
All right. So what are you rating this thing?
I'd give it a 3.
3?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm with you. I'll give it a 3. I don't remember what I rated the other ones, but
I think they were both really high.
Yeah. I think they were probably 4s at least.
At least.
Yeah. But this one's just a notch down, but still very awesome. I usually have the book and show the book, but I think it's back there on the shelf.
Okay.
It's right there. I put it next to the other 2 books. Say all 3 of them right there. So anyway, I forgot. I usually hold up what we're talking about, but it's over there. So Queen's Hope, go check it out from E.K. Johnston. Great books from her. All right. That's it for this episode. That's it. Yes. We got more Beyond the Sagas on the way. We've got finishing up, the Star Wars comic. I know we're both diving into Brotherhood right now.
It's so good.
Okay, I'm very early into it.
Yeah, you're early into it. Sorry.
Which I just read this, Hannah, just a little for our listeners to know. I didn't really, I guess I kind of knew this, but I didn't. But it says here that during the development of Queen's Hope, another novel set during the early Clone Wars, Brotherhood, was also being written with a similar release date. As such, Johnston and Mike Chen, who wrote Brotherhood, worked together to ensure that their books connected to each other. So according to Chen, Queen's Hope is set directly before Brotherhood. So this works naturally that we just got out of Queen's Hope and we're going into Brotherhood. So that worked out really well. And you can clearly tell it is somewhat of a continuation. It does take place after Queen's Hope. So we'll be diving into Brotherhood eventually. We're going to still get into some High Republic novels that we're finishing so we can talk about that. And then, of course, more comics coming your way. So thanks, everybody. Again, youtube.com/Into the Force. If you want to watch all of these episodes, get on any podcast feed if you want to listen to them. But subscribe either way, please. We really appreciate it. And, of course, if you want to join Patreon and get these early, as well as some exclusive content, patreon.com/Inside the Force. Go there, check out our tiers. And for as little as $2 a month, you get all this stuff early. So thank you, Hannah.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend, whenever you see this. Keep enjoying Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's out there right now. Go check that out. Until next time, may the Force be with you.